Traders War Room proudly presents the daily video with the best trading and investing alerts anywhere on any platform. With up-to-date stock, chart, and market news, TWR is simply your one-stop shop. Let's go to war. Activate your 2-day trial of TWR All Access on the Discord platform. We cover it all at Traders War Room, whether you're looking for stocks, options, futures, Forex, crypto, or even sports betting, or you want real-time alerts, live trading, algo signals, or even if you just want to be part of a community of like-minded investors to grow, learn, and share together as a team. Something for everyone at Traders War Room. Activate your 2-day trial today and go to war with TWR. Stay tuned at the end for TWR Hot Products and Services. Sunday Motivator. Alert update. Last week was a great week. We made hella bank. Started off the week on a high note. Took SPY at 395 call. We went from 115 to 3. That's good for 185 per contract. Don't forget to take note of our time and date stamps because you know we keep things 100% at Traders War Room. Keeping the pressure up. Look at this trade out in GME. We went from 168 to 778. That's good for $602 per contract. And then we went ahead and got that Apple trade. Don't tell me I don't give you guys the cheap ones, because that one doesn't get much cheaper than that. Riding AMD for some lunch money. We went ahead and got in that 102 call, 130. Came out at 165, good for 35 per contract. SE was moving, and we went ahead and capitalized. Look at this trade, $84 call. We entered 130, exited out at 350. That's good for 220 per contract. Continuing the slaughter, look at this gold trade right there. This was a fast-paced, little pocket change one, but man, when the dollar is moving, gold is moving as well. So we went in 82, came out 112, good for $30 per contract. And look at that bad boy right there, SPY. Man, that was a killer play coming right off of resistance. Boom, bounce to the downside. 140 all the way to 425. That's good for 285. And finishing the week out strong. What goes up must come down. We went ahead and went the short side of the house on SE. Took that from 130 to 205. That's good for 75 per contract. And we've been eating for a minute on Pepsi. We went ahead and closed out the position. We went ahead and took that $15 rest of the contracts on our runners, and we went ahead and took that to the bank. $100 to $1,000 per day is possible as a Traders War Room market warrior. So quit wasting that money that's not making money and join TWR today. All links are in the description. Hot off the press. Top news story, market mind weighing up the global banking crisis. So still hot topic in the news is the financial sector and the collapse of some huge banks, and including Deutsche Bank last week. Basically, Asia's economic data and policy calendar this week is light, which is perhaps just as well because investors' focus is firmly fixed elsewhere, the global banking crisis and what it means for growth, market, and policy. So expect some volatility in the banking sector. And to be honest, unless you're going to trade the XLF, I wouldn't really get into individual banking stocks just yet, unless you get into some great opportunities with, say, a JPM, Morgan Stanley, or Goldman Sachs. Next top story, just like we talked about, Deutsche Bank, right? So analysis, bank diskette, Fed keep investors on edge in nervy U.S. stock market. Basically, investors are preparing for long U.S. stock market slog, braced by more banking sector turmoil and woes over how the Federal Reserve's tightening will impact the economy. And just so you know, there was a secret closed Fed meeting on Friday, and they released minutes. And it basically kind of said we need to help out, but it didn't give any real specifics on how they're going to be prepared to assist other banks. And of course, you know that this was going to hit the news, Tik Tok. So House Speaker says lawmakers are ready to move forward with the Tik Tok bill. House of Representatives Speaker Kevin McCarthy said on Sunday lawmakers will move forward with legislation excuse me, legislation to address national security worries about TikTok, alleging China's government had access to the short video app's user data. If you didn't watch any part of the video or the interview last week, it was brutal, man. He took a beating, their CEO, and basically it really shined a light on how he is the CEO, he's the face, he's a polished looking gentleman, he speaks well, he's intelligent, but BetaDance is really the beast behind the engine, okay? And the top leaders of BetaDance are all affiliates with the Communist Party of China. So that's why there's a whole bunch of woes. Good news for Meta, so keep watch on Meta, especially as TikTok keeps trending and everything like that. Meta's starting to gain shares with the Instagram, and also Snapchat is coming in, swooping up some shares as well, because the more likely this goes on, the more likely it is that we get a ban on TikTok sooner than later. Hot trends. Markets ran, and it was crazy. We originally started off with a dump that looked like we were going to get continuation to go lower, but then the markets caught up steam, and it just kept pumping and pumping. Specifically, the NASDAQ was just going absolutely nuts, and the S&P as well, along with the Dow. So all sectors were green, and it was just a crazy choppy market, but a chop up. So definitely it was a good opportunity if you got in around right before lunch, and it just continued to make its move higher and higher with little pullbacks, but higher and higher, steady. I like this chart because it gives you some technical data and statistical data that goes along with the market. So here you'll notice on the left you got SPY, middle Q, and on the right you got the I. But what I really like about this one is it's giving that technical data, but it's also giving you SMA 200, SMA 50s, and you're advancing and declining. So this is a good one to kind of gauge levels and sentiment. This chart is nice to look at because this is giving you your market premium statistics, and basically what this is telling you is it's telling you overall puts and calls that were coming in above the ask, at the ask, at market value, or sold on a bid, or sold below the bid. And as you can see right there, by far the biggest volume was bought above ask on puts. So definitely we got a lot of people looking to the bear side of the house, pushing into this week and probably a little bit further out. So even though we're looking at maybe a little bit of a bounce this week, potentially, if you go off of last week's rush, however, going out a little bit further with the unstable and the sentiment of the economy currently, we're probably looking at a little bit of a rocky road, and people are betting to the downside. Following on to the put and call ratio, here you go. You got your calls and your puts based off of individual tickers. And as you can see, the big boys are definitely getting some volume in there. We're looking a little bit more bearish, as all we're looking at the big tickers, the I, the SPY, Tesla, the Q. However, we do got a lot of volume also coming on the put side. So this, I would give this one more of a 60-40 to the put side rather than going with 50-50. Now, just like the other put and call ratio, I like this one because it's actually giving you tickers and expiration dates on big ticket items of things that are actually moving. So definitely pause this and kind of blow it up a little bit. Look at some of these, do some research, and you want the ones that have a lot of volume pushing in and potentially a catalyst to give the trend on whether it's going bullish or bearish. That'll give you the good idea. But when you see the big money, that should get you interested. It's like, what do those big wealthy people know that I don't know? What are they getting on their track, their inside tracks, that might be a precursor to a dramatic move? Dark pools, we like these because this gives us that, big wealthy pool of trading that we retail traders don't have access to, but it can give us a good idea on what's moving and shaking. By far, always up there. SPY is making some big total block and dark pool trades. We also got a few other tickers in there that we haven't seen for a while. FTXN, FTXL, and we got Apple starting to trend as well. So we're paying attention. Also Amazon. So don't forget, Amazon was trending really hard at the early part of last week, and it kind of fizzed out. So we could be seeing a little bit more of a rebound on Amazon going into this next week if we keep the bullish momentum going. Sector performance, and as you can see, utilities and real estate had a nice jump, and we see a dramatic jump in those particular sectors because they took a huge dump early on in the week. So they're normal to kind of have the exchange of rotation of money coming into them. We saw consumer discretionary and financials lag. Financials didn't bounce as bad towards the end of the week as we may have thought it would. However, it'll be interesting to see how it ends up pulling out at this particular week because of all the information that we have going forward with some continuation on the financial side. Here's your futures as of this video, guys. These are going to change, of course. We don't really pay attention to the futures in after hours or whenever they open, but we pay attention to them more pre-market before the actual market bell goes off. So utilize this as just kind of a guide and a action plan so that you can develop and get a good strategy and kind of an idea of how you want to make your moves and go attack and destroy tomorrow when that bell rings. This chart covers unusual options, and similar to like what we talked about the other few slides ago when we're going with the options, these are giving you the ones that are kind of unusual, either moving on high volume or been kind of just came into the limelight, and there's no real big catalyst on why it's happening. So these should be the ones that you kind of focus on, see if you can find a good trend and get a good due diligence buildup and try to make a decent trade on some dramatic push. Top gainers. These are the ones that did very well going into last week as far as stocks. And these can be great opportunities for shares and investments long, or these could also be great opportunities for some derivative action with options. Basically looking at, continuation or rejection from reaching those previous levels of hitting resistance. Top losers, and it's basically the opposite of the top gainers. We're still looking for rejection from support. These could have had knee-jerk reactions to the downside, or they could have a complete breakdown of the support level and with continuation to the downside. So definitely take note of these. Try to look for the diamond in the rough or some gems that can give you some great dramatic push to make some good money. Most active. These were the ones that were moving and shaking, and everybody was buying and selling these. These are the ones that are going to probably be the movers and shakers going into this week as well, because these are all high liquid, high volume type of tickers. These stocks are the ones with unusual volume, similar to like the unusual option volume. These are the ones that are based off of just stocks alone. And again, you can utilize the information for great entry points into long or short positions on actual shares or investing, or you can utilize it for potential entries into short and long positions with derivatives through option playing. Stocks that are overbought, these are ones that are ranging on an RSI scale that are above 70 or at 70 or above, giving the idea that potentially we could be seeing a little bit of selling pressure. Now, it doesn't always happen. We can have continuation because they could be on to a breakout, in which point they'll start making new levels once they start to, consolidate. However, a lot of times, especially if they are moving on little to no news, you can expect that we get some downward pressure and you can catch the reversal. And just like we had overbought, we got oversold. And the same idea with the oversold holds true. We're looking for rejections from support and looking for some pop back up. Now, we could always get the continuation, so you got to be careful. You got to make sure that you watch it, and if you start to get the little fake out pops, you know, you need to probably switch your strategy. However, these can give great opportunities specifically for rejection plays, and we're looking specifically with the oversold for rejection plays to the upside. And here you go. These are your top stocks that are trending on multiple, watch lists from all over the internet space. Wall Street Bets, Stock Twitch, things like Market Watch and Benghazi, all those things. Basically, these are the ones that everyone's paying attention to and looking for some moves and shakes. Earnings forecast for this upcoming week. If it has a green square around it, I'm interested in it. This doesn't mean that I'm all inclusive to this. I'm definitely going to be looking for momentum, but these are the ones that have my attention as far as earnings catalyst. Here are your earnings implied volatility, and what you're looking at on this list is the highest volatility based off of earning premiums. These are the ones that are potentially going to give the best bang for the buck as far as a dramatic push. Stocks I like. All right, so let's talk about SPY. SPY absolutely was just on a rocket ship last week towards the end of the week. I mean, it just kept going and going and going. So we're actually above our shorter moving averages and our 50 moving average as well. However, we got some decent resistance at this level and just a little bit above it at that 398. So got our top triggers right. We close above that 398.50, we close below that 394.25, and we start looking for the direction for continuation, either the push towards 405 on the top side or the push towards 390 on the bottom side. NVDA is kind of acting a little odd. We're getting a little downward trending. It hit super hard here recently. So I think that was just in due for a little bit of a cool down. We got the top line trigger set at 271.75. We got the bottom line at 263.75. And right now we're kind of in between some of our shorter moving averages. So we're looking for, pushing above those or below those to give us the idea for the continuation to either the upside or the downside. Tesla, we're downtrending pretty decently here, looking like we want to go lower. We're below our shorter moving averages. We're crossing already on our sub indicators, and we're looking pretty bearish. We're starting to lower on some volume, so I do think that we got some more continuation to the downside. I wouldn't be surprised if this week we start to peak at that 185 type of area before we kind of find maybe some resistance where we get some support for rejection at the bottom levels. But I do think that we're going to continue on a downward trend. Now, this could always change, though. We could get the bullish push. We could just shoot up from here because this is kind of sloping down at an area where we're hitting some bottoms, and we could get nice rejection from this. So we got the triggers at 192.36, we can call it 192.50 and 187.25 for our top and our bottom lines. Apple was trending pretty hard and it bounced up pretty good, but Apple likes to spike up and then pull back. So I do think that we're on a little bit of a pullback on Apple. I wouldn't be surprised if we start to cool down and go retest those 158 levels. And depending on the sentiment, we may not be able to hold those, and we might actually retract a little bit further down. I think thinking 155 is a little too much right now unless we get some negative type of sentiment news. However, I do think pushing down to 158, 156, somewhere like that is definitely plausible this week. And it all depends on, like I said, kind of the gauge of the sentiment moving forward this week when that bell rings. All right, we're going to talk about DB, which is Deutsche Bank. Kind of look familiar? Well, it looks like FRC. It looked like Signature. It looked like, some of the other banking. They definitely had some rocky news last week towards the end of the week. So we got some decent volatility potential here. A lot of these banks have done the little spike up, but then they came sharply down. I think that we could see that in Deutsche Bank as well. 975, we're looking for possibly the continuation or the jump to the upside, and we're looking at anything below 9. We can even go 875, be a little bit more conservative. We can get some continuation to the downside. This could very well push down into the 5s, like we've seen some of the other big banks continue on their downward path. AI has been trending, obviously, because the AI stock is the front runner for the artificial intelligence type of thing. We got some decent triggers for continuation. We're looking at $26.75 for continuation to the upside. It's hit almost $30 here recently, so we could go back up and retest that. And we're looking at $23.88. I do think that we're getting a little bit to the cooler side on this AI news, specifically with this stock. One of the catalyst type of events that pushed it so hard was earnings, and it hit when all that other big AI news was hitting. Now that's kind of subsided a little bit. Now we're kind of going off of just basic trends. So I do think we get a little bit of a cool down coming down. We could easily see back to 22, maybe even 20 to retest those lower levels, and then potentially see where we're at if we can hold, and continuation from there. And let's talk about Meta. With that TikTok news, Meta has been getting some awesome publicity, but it's been trading within kind of a range. It really hasn't exploded and broken out. So we're looking for either a breakout or a breakdown on this particular stock. So I think that if we get above 208, 209 would be the ideal target. We can get that push to 215, where we previously, if we go back further, we have some decent resistance at that point. So that's a nice little, $5-6 push to the upside. However, it does look like it kind of is losing some of its steam. We keep wicking pretty hard to the top. So if we don't get that breakout, I think that we come back down and we could go retest the 200s, where we kind of got a previous gap. We did fill it with a wick, but we did have a huge gap period. So I think a retest of the 200 area to see if we truly are in this range of holding this would be a good plausible idea for the stock if we get some of that negative bearish sentiment continuation coming into this week. Upcoming events. Nothing really coming up until we hit into April on the upcoming events, but I do want you guys to stay up to date with the upcoming classes and the historical classes. Right now, our historical classes are the place to be at, man. Get your knowledge on. We truly have something for everyone over there, and the historical classes are great because once we do the live class and it's done live, we go ahead and we put it onto the web page for the historical site. You go make a payment, you get your class, you can view it right from the website 24/7, just like you would like a YouTube video or something like that. So it's a fantastic opportunity to get some really good knowledge, and we are competitive with our prices. You're not going to find the type of education that we're giving out there for cheaper than what we offer. So definitely go check it out, get spun up, get some education, and go out there and make some money. The market is our war zone, and stocks are the battle. Join TWR and let's go to war. Make the market bend the knee in 2023. Join Traders War Room and bow to no one. Let's go to war.